everybody. I'm pro hooper Roxana Barahman, but most people call me Roxy. Welcome to International Ball TV, celebrating International Women's Day. Here we have a 6'5" forward Canadian national team member, Emily Potter, also a 5-year professional basketball player in Europe. She's currently playing in Greece's A1 top league, but Emily has played all over, including Poland, Czech Republic, Mexico. This past summer, Emily won her first championship as a pro with the Astros in the LMBP Femenil League in Mexico. Emily is a graduate of the University of Utah and attended WNBA training camp in 2018 with the Seattle Storm. Last season, we played together for Esperides Kalathea in Greece, and now this season, Emily is still in Greece with Panathinaikos, averaging 12.3 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, shooting a 50% clip, and absolutely killing it. Emily, thanks for coming on.
Hey girl, thanks for having me.
So you play all over. Tell me, what is the most competitive league that you've played in?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think, Poland was a really strong league, but my time last summer in Mexico was actually really pleasantly surprising. It was super aggressive. But I think in Europe, just being able to play Euro Cup, on top of your domestic league, is just another level of basketball that's super fun to be a part of. And everyone's really locked in, and you're playing against teams from around Europe. So everyone wants to bring their best in that competition. So I definitely say Euro Cup is up there with something that's, the most competitive that I've played in as a pro.
Yeah. So what was it like, though, winning the championship in Mexico?
Yes, that was amazing. It was actually the first year that they had the league in Mexico. So,
right.
I saw players signing there and I didn't really know what to expect. And I ended up getting picked up by a team at the end of the season to help them with their playoff push. And the fans were amazing, great atmosphere. We had, best of 5 game series. Our final series went to game 7 and we ended up winning. So it was just a super fun and competitive basketball environment to be a part of.
Awesome. So you played in a lot of spots. What places do you think you were treated the best, and why?
That's a good question. I think everybody's going to have different experiences in different countries, but I felt like the people in Greece did a really good job of making me feel taken care of and at home, and made sure that if I needed anything, they would get it for me. But also in Mexico, just the facilities and the treatment was completely on par with the men. We were using the men's facilities, and their league was basically started and piggybacked off their men's league. So I thought everything was super, super high level and professional there.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to talk about some of the disparities between, men's and women's leagues around the world. I think me and you saw some things in Greece, but how do you see the men's and women's programs differing in club basketball in Greece or other leagues you played in? You said Mexico was pretty similar, which is awesome, but how do you see the differences in other leagues?
Yeah, I mean, I can use Greece as a perfect example that the women's league, we're professional basketball players, but they consider the league amateur. They don't even consider it professionally the same way that they do for the men's. So it's, different rules and different regulations. And I just can't understand why. Obviously, the pay is going to be, different, unfortunately, for some men's and women's teams. But one thing I do really love about Greece and my club this year is how supportive the fans are of all the women's teams. They support the men's teams, but they're just as loud and just as crazy as at the women's games, which I definitely super appreciate. But yeah, that's one really weird thing about Greece, and I know other leagues, they're considered fully professional for men and women, but the support, the media coverage is never the same.
Yeah. So how do you think we can bring up the standard of, women's sports more so that they can maybe equal the men's leagues? What do you think are some things that we can talk about?
Yeah, I think definitely pushing the media coverage and the advertising and putting it out there for everybody to see. People always say, nobody wants to watch women's basketball, but there's people that do, but you need to be able to access it and be able to find it. And I think I've seen that happen with the WNBA as well. Put the games on ESPN, put the games on channels where people can actually see it, and then they will come. If people have to go through a bunch of hoops and there's a lot of barriers to watch games or attend things, they're going to give up. So it just needs to be easier, more easily accessible, I think.
Right, 100%. It's awesome that that the WNBA has started to put some games this season. Their openers are going to be on ESPN and some of the major networks, so that it's awesome. But going on here, recently it was just International Women's Day, and I wanted to help, not only promote the amazing and talented women in sport, but also use this opportunity to amplify women and girls' voices around the world, especially to new news recently reported out of Iran, where 1,000 schoolgirls across the country were chemically poisoned by the Islamic regime. Hundreds have been hospitalized with respiratory, cardiac, and neurological symptoms. And so our thoughts and prayers are going out to those women and schoolgirls there. Yeah, so if anyone's interested, you can go help by going to UNICEF. They're doing great things, so definitely could donate and help to free women in Iran and help them get some rights. Back to you, Emily.
Sorry, I know that's something that's really important to you because of your heritage, and I appreciate like all that you do to promote that like on your platforms for sure, because it's super important and there's so many people that are not aware of it.
Yeah, it's very important to right now, especially amplify their voices. I am Persian, I'm American Iranian, but my whole family is from Iran, and it's very important right now to try and give women there the same rights that we have over here. So, yeah. But back to you, Emily. How do you think we get more? How do you think we get more women in basketball specifically,
Yeah.
and in professional basketball? I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, having people that you can see around you doing the things that you aspire to do is super important. I know for me, coming from a smaller, state and province in Canada, I didn't know any professional women's basketball players when I was growing up. I didn't really have access to the WNBA, didn't really watch it as a kid. So now that I'm older, I feel a sense of pride in like showing, not only women from my hometown and young girls, but also, young girls in every country that I play with that, if they can see it, it's going to be more easier for them to believe that they can do it. I think we need representation of people of all different types, body types, colors, heights, ethnicities. Everybody needs to see that these things are possible. And that'll hopefully motivate some girls to, continue in the sport, because I know as girls get older, a lot of the time they drop out of sports and maybe don't see the benefits and see what they can become like men do. And they're not told that like, hey, yeah, you could be a professional with this. A lot of guys grow up with the dream of being professional athletes. I don't know, when I was a kid, there wasn't that many women doing it. And I think it's starting to change, but it needs to continue to do so.
Right. Where do you see the future for women's basketball, like in 20 years? Do you think it could be as universal as maybe soccer is worldwide?
I definitely think so. I think it's growing still, like in so many different countries, and the game is really global. You see some crossover leagues, where teams are playing against different countries, just like EuroLeague, Euro Cup. The men's side is doing it too, North and South America. So that's great to see. And I want there to be, more WNBA teams, more EuroLeague games, more EuroLeague teams, better pay, better media coverage. And I really do see all that happening. Maybe not in our playing career, but we're still going to, go hard and speak up for it to help the next generation for sure.
For sure. So, we've talked a bit about your experience with clubs in Europe and South America. I want to dive into a little bit of your career in Canada. So you were born and raised in Canada and had the opportunity to participate in some of the national team stuff for them. Could you take me through like what it's like representing your country?
Yeah, I don't think anything can compare to it. And every level that, I've played so far, going from college to the pro level, it's been a step up. And it's been difficult, but I feel like every opportunity I've had with the national team has just prepared me for it. And everybody is super dedicated, at the college level and at the professional level. But when I head into a national team camp, it's just it's just a different mindset. I don't even know if I can describe it perfectly. It's just everybody there is, at the top of their game and wants to do so well and is so locked in and laser focused in practice. It's 100% my favorite basketball environment to be a part of, because I feel like it makes me so much better being surrounded with such amazing players. Everybody is at the top of their game, from coaches, players, all the way down to the support staff. Every single person is 100% dedicated to being there.
Awesome. So how do you see, how does the Canadian women's national team compare, let's say, to the men's Canadian national team? Are you guys getting similar treatment? Because I know, in the US, they're definitely not. So was curious about Canada.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, right now, the women are crushing it. The women are ranked 5th in the world, and have consistently now gone to multiple Olympics, 3 Olympics in a row. Whereas the men have, this next cycle, they're for sure going to qualify for the Olympics. But, it's been some years since they've been there. So I think, the women are, quote unquote, right now performing better than the men. But that doesn't mean that the women are getting better treatments. I think they're trying to do a really good job to keep it on par with the men. We practice at great facilities, whether we're training in Toronto or Edmonton or in Europe. We have great support staff. Just recently got a new CEO in the last couple years for Canada basketball, and he's very, very big on making sure there's equal opportunity for both programs. We're still kind of separate with the programs for the men and the women. We don't really mingle too much. We have very different competition schedules. But I would say, yeah, they've done a really good job in recent years to make sure that the women and men are treated the same, and rightfully so, because both are, representing their country and sacrificing a lot of their off season and time to compete for the country.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, just wanted to bring to light, some of the inequalities, and hopefully we can, get men and women on equal terms soon. But finally, Emily, what are your goals for your personal career, and what are you trying to accomplish?
Great question. Okay. So this is my 5th year in, and honestly, I still feel like I'm just kind of getting started. I still feel like I'm on the upward trajectory of my career. So obviously hoping to win some more championships along the way after winning that first one this summer. It's kind of you don't want to accept anything less than that from now on. So, hoping to finish up the season super well in Greece, and continue playing in leagues and countries that are going to challenge me to continue to get better, because I still feel like I have, some gas left in the tank and more things to learn to elevate my game. And then the major goal, my overarching goal for basketball will always be to try to make it to the Olympics. So that's what I'm pushing for with Team Canada. Anytime they call, I'm going to try to go there and do my best and support the team in any way I can. But there's so many talented players in Canada. So we'll see what happens. But, I'm striving for it.
Yeah, well, we wish you the best. Thank you, Emily, for being on International Ball TV. I hope you have a great rest of the season with Panathinaikos. Please don't forget to like, comment, or follow us at International Ball TV, or subscribe at www.internationalballtv. So yeah, thank you, Emily.
Thanks for having me.